Travis Wingetzel. So, after the Danite video, the Mormon terrorist hacker, cyber terrorist, decided he was going to remove my camera from my laptop. So as you can see, I got it back. This was what they did earlier in the week with my music player. Seriously? The music player? I technically want a different system to play the music, but and so yeah, this is crunch time coming for conference. YouTube likewise are escalating their terrorist cyber attacks on me as well. The church knows, because I've been doing videos since September 23rd, 2017. See, Russia knows. They've also been involved with me since 2017. I have that video yet to do, along with yesterday's promised Book of Mormon as a treasure map for Latter-day Zion. Still have that to do. Like I said, if I don't get to videos, I may never get to them. So we'll see. Because it was last night, and I was running late last night. So, yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ is a fraud. I know it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints knows it. Russia knows it. Critics know it. The only people that don't seem to know it are members still in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But yeah, there's enemies working for the church who purposely commit crimes on behalf of the church. As I keep repeating in my videos, ignorance breeds hate. Hate breeds violence. The attacks on me today are the violence. This is how they're escalating. And it's next weekend. That's conference. They know this is when I get the most views for the year. It's during conference times. For April conference, I got the most views ever in all these years. And 500 plus subscribers. Where are you guys? All this summer, where were you? You know, definitely not 500, let alone the 400 prior to. But I chalked that up to COVID. So yes, I saw the COVID episode of NCIS where Palmer's wife is reported as having died of COVID. And I warned you, and the church just weaponized YouTube against me. As the church instead promoted Nelson's The Healing Power of Gratitude. What's also interesting on NCIS is I've been frustrated with the individual character development, but the relationship character development is another story. And so they haven't really used Palmer's wife in the story. You know, when they were first dating, engaged, and that was pretty much it. The dad took a more prominent role. than the wife. But then you have Hot Wheels Delilah with McGee, and I talked about in another video the other day from the NCIS episode that they only bond with each other in the relationship when they're trying to solve a murder. They're clueless how to bond, just being normal man and wife couple with twins. So frustrating. And then you have Sloane, who's using her psychology as a weapon against Gibbs. Gibbs is under full attack by Sloane's psychology, which is anti-science. She's purposely emotionally manipulating him. Tell me how you feel. Talk with me. Share with me your feelings. And she's doing that because she's got a super big crush on Gibbs, but she can't tell Gibbs. And so she's using psychology to manipulate Gibbs to cave to her repeated demands that he open up and share his heart. You know, if I were Gibbs, I'd just rip out my heart. Kalimar Sugima. I forgot the Kalima Sugaram. Kalima Shaktide. That's it. Kalima Shaktide. Olaram Sugaram. There we go. That is what triggered the first ever in the United States of America the PG-13 rating. And I had to miss it to go on a mission for the church as my parents made me a pyramid schemer. And so, yeah, I in the last episode that I watched this morning, she's now resorting to even more devious tactics because she has failed to bond with Gibbs by just being a normal person. And is saying, I'm thinking about quitting and going to Cancun to retire. And is she expecting Gibbs to say, oh, no, stay, I love you, I'm opening my heart, please don't leave? Yeah, it's emotional blackmail. Psychologists are pure evil. And so she's going to get her head on straight, right? By going back to the Middle East to save some little girls that have been kidnapped because, well, the big bad mean Taliban doesn't like little girls being given an education. Ignorance leads to hate. Hate leads to violence. And evil people know this. This is why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints purposely silences my videos on YouTube as best they can and attack me during conference so that Mormons don't learn the truth. And I don't know why they do this, because Mormons already don't believe. The other video I did this morning, that was a comment by a Mormon. The church should be proud that they've indoctrinated Mormons as zombie apocalypse assassins. And yet, they still keep doing it. They have not learned their one lesson. Don't hire a hitman. If you want me dead, come and do it yourself. They're out of their meeting now unless they had to go overtime. And so anytime now we should expect to see if Nelson's a coward who refuses to tell you the truth. I'm not waiting for conference. I've got another video lined up about the sign in the heavens for conference weekend. Even though this channel doesn't care about signs in the heavens fulfilling 3rd Nephi chapter 2. And so then the final relationship, Torres and Bishop. I should have transitioned into the main video topic, even though I've gone over 10 minutes into an introduction. Because that was the segue that I was supposed to use, but I didn't finish the previous segment. And so yeah, Torres and Bishop. Torres is in denial that he has feelings for Bishop, but it's blatantly obvious because he's doing all the outward stuff of going out of his way and joking with her, making fun of her, and teasing her, like little grade school boys do to the crushes that they have in their class. And so Bishop, she falls right into the trap, believing that Torres is being mean to her. Clueless that Torres has a big old crush on her, and Bishop has a big old crush on Torres. If she would just realize this, she would not be getting angry at Torres, demanding that he behave. And so that's her denial, which is oh so common in human behaviors. And extremely frustrating, because then eventually time goes on, they were just in the friend zone, and the moment passes where they could have had a relationship and they passed it up. And then somebody moves or dies or whatever, or they find another relationship. And so, yeah, we already saw that previously, as both were jealous that the others were dating somebody else. So, very frustrating. So, now to go back in time to where I was making the transition into the one and the only warning to Latter-day Mormons from Joseph Smith. His one and only prophecy to us specifically, to Mormons. Yes, lots of prophecies about the latter days, but not directly to Mormons. So Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. No composition by Joseph Smith whatsoever. I've already been over this with you. So yes, when Moroni talks to us in the future, yeah, he's talking to us. However, that was not Joseph Smith. The one that Joseph Smith specifically talks to us in the latter days is the second vision. Ta-da! The bicentennial year, as today is it. The second vision, bicentennial day. And it's in verse 40. Joseph Smith wrote in the learning of the Jews. None of this is real. None of it happened. And Mormons refuse to believe this. And so they miss it. And the church laughs at Mormons for missing it. And they terrorize me for catching it, so that you won't hear it either. And you're not even listening anymore, Mormons. The one thing, and you couldn't do it because you got frustrated with my intro. That's now taken 15 minutes. He's being told about prophecies from the Old Testament about the latter days. Not the Roman period time, not the ancient world, the latter day prophecies in the learning of the Jews, which means none of the scriptures in the Old Testament are literal history. They're all prophecies about the latter days. And then Joseph throws in Acts. And that means the New Testament too. The New Testament is not literal history. Joseph already explained this to us in verse 19, where he says the first creed of Christianity is an abomination. By creating Jesus as real during the Roman period, he made the scriptures of the Jews, which were prophecies of the latter days, literal history. He created the most popular idol god the world has ever known, Trinitarian Jesus. And so Joseph Smith says that the person in Acts who's a prophecy of the latter days, not the Roman period time, not the ancient world, because it comes from Deuteronomy. And despite that, Joseph still went to Acts instead of Deuteronomy. He says that prophet is the Mormon Christ. In the learning of the Jewish religion of Joseph Smith, our Christ is a latter-day Christ as a human. And in section 103, verse 16, he's Mormon from the great and abominable church. Just like prophecy. To save Mormons from the great and abominable church. And this is the one and only one thing that Joseph Smith tells the latter-day saints in the latter days. And this is the bicentennial year, which is the final year of the latter days. When the day that shall burn as an oven shall burn the Mormons, despite paying tithing to the great and abominable church, thinking they're going to be protected. Mormons who will not hear their latter-day learning of the Jews' Christ shall be, he says, cut off from among humanity. A Holocaust of Mormons. But I thought it was the Jews. They murdered Jesus. And so did anybody even bother to go to Acts? You're studying your scriptures, right? You're not even listening to me, talking to myself and those who are already the wise virgins because they don't live in Utah, right? There is nobody who believes me who's still living in Utah, right? See, I had an offer to go live on a farm, but then I would give up saving you. Because nobody knows where to go after the day that shall burn as an oven happens. And so I'd be hanging up being the guy for Mormons and saying, screw you. I'd also have to give up the internet and all that stuff. But at least somebody offered. What about the rest of you? So, verse 23 in Acts. Pay attention, see if you can notice anything different, because Joseph Smith says, quoted precisely as it stands in our New Testament. And then he says, cut off. So let's read precisely as it stands in our New Testament, starting in verse 23. And it shall come to pass in the latter days that every Mormon who will not hear their Mormon human Christ shall be destroyed. That's not cut off. Joseph, what are you doing? But this is where all the prophets from Samuel and all those that follow after, as many as have spoken, likewise foretold of these days. All scriptures are prophecies of the latter days. So when's the date? Already did the videos. 23rd September 2017 is the start of his ministry among Mormons. 8 April 2024 is the final day of the latter days. And thus starts the millennium, which is supposed to be of peace, safety, and refuge in Zion. And it's not even built, let alone nobody's there. Except for one guy who built his house there. What's up with that? And apparently he's Scottish rides, the enemy. And so, yeah, you then see son Jesus there in verse 26, and everybody erases what they just read because they're now confused. So it's Roman period Jesus? Literal history? And so, yeah, you can go into the Book of Mormon, 3rd Nephi, which they do not reference here. That's surprising. Because the Book of Mormon, likewise, is in the learning of the Jews. It's not literal history. Mormons don't care to know. They just listen to the prophets who lie and deceive them. So they skip 2023 and 3rd Nephi. It's an interesting coincidence. Wasn't intended in the original book, because this was the 1981. Well, it could have been an earlier one. Parley P. Pratt did the first chapter verses segmentation, but yeah, you'd have to go to the different books of the Book of Mormon editions to see the transition over time. And so here it is. Prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. And so we know, because Joseph Smith used it, and that it's in the Doctrine and Covenants in section 103 verse 16, that we're supposed to put in the Mormon, who is the Mormon Christ of Mormons, shall be raised up among the Mormons, who is the man like Moses. Mormons shall hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto Mormons. And it shall come to pass that every Mormon who will not hear that Messiah, Christ, shall be cut off. Wait a minute. And verse 24, hey, verily I say unto you, yea, all the prophets from Samuel, and thus the Book of Mormon, and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have prophesied of him. The Book of Mormon is the prophecy of the Mormon Christ of the latter days, not Jesus of the Roman period. It's in the Book of Mormon, and anybody who is literate can figure it out. But there's so many scriptures that you kind of have to have the ability to combine and go back and forth to the scriptures, because the footnotes ain't going to help you at all. Because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints didn't want you to know. That's simple. Just one thing Mormons had to do, and they couldn't do it. And they only lasted a couple of minutes. Unless it's just ghost analytics. Right, YouTube?